Good evening, everyone. My name is Mia. I can read Shanghai Vocabulary Book 6, page 8. Overtime 片语在什么期间 ？Ahead of time 片语表示提前。Religion 名词宗教。Guarantee 名词保证。Miracle 名词奇迹。Condition 名词状况。Prohibit 动词禁止。Collect 动词搜集。Tug 动词用力拉。Sensitive 形容词敏感的，要审慎处理的。Delicate 形容词需小心处理的。Clumsy 形容词笨手笨脚的。Sensible 形容词理智的。Sorry for the mix-up 很抱歉造成这个混乱。Mix-up 名词混乱失误 equals mistake 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 error error error。花的 relief 松了一口气。Thank you for listening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Popo. I can read Story 41 and 42, The Country of the Blind. Carefully, Nunez cried. One man's finger was in his eye. They saw his eye with the fluttering lids, a queer thing in him. They touched it again. A strange creature, Correa, said the one called Pedro. Feel his hair. It's like a llama's hair. He as rough as the rocks he comes from, said Correa, touching Nunez's beard. Perhaps he will change. Nunez tried to move, but they held him tightly. Carefully, he said again. He speaks, said the third man. Certainly he is a man. Oh, said Pedro, touching Nunez's rough coat. And you have come into the world? He asked. Out of the world, said Nunez, over mountains and snow. It is 12 days' walk back to the sea. They didn't seem to listen to him. Our fathers have told us man may be made by the powers of nature, said Correa. It is a warmth of things, and moisture, and rottenness. Let's lead him to the elders, said Pedro. Call out first so the children won't be afraid. Well, this is a very exciting day. So they called, and Pedro went first and took Nunez by the hand to lead him to the houses. Nunez put his hand away. I can see, he said. See, said Correa. Yes, see, said Nunez, and he turned toward Correa and stumbled against Pedro. His senses are still imperfect, said the third blind man. He stumbles and his words have no meaning. Lead him by the hand. All right, said Nunez, and he was led along laughing. It seemed they knew nothing about sight. Well, he would teach them, he thought. He heard shouts and saw a number of people gathering together in the middle of the street of the village. He and the three blind men walked toward the group of people. Nunez noticed that some of the women and girls had ruddy, pretty faces, though their eyes were shut and sunken. The crowd of people hurried forward and touched him with soft, sensitive hands. They smelled him and listened carefully to every word he spoke. Pedro and Correa stayed close to Nunez and said again and again, "A wild man out of the rocks." Thank you for listening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mia. Today I'm going to read The Country of the Blind. Carefully, Nunez cried. One man's finger was in his eye. They thought his eyes with its fluttering lids, a queer thing in him. They touched it again. A strange creature, Correa, said the one called Pedro. Feel his hair, it's like a llama's hair. He's as rough as the rocks he comes from, said Correa, touching Nunez's beard. Perhaps he will change. Nunez tried to move, but they held him tightly. Carefully, he said again. He speaks, said the third man. Certainly he is a man. Oh, said Pedro, touching Nunez's rough coat. And you have come into the world, he asked. Out of the world, said Nunez, over mountains and snow. It is 12 days' walk by to the sea. They didn't seem to listen to him. Our fathers have told us man may be made by the powers of nature, said Korea. It is the worst of things, and moisture and rottenness. Just lead him to the elders, said Pedro. Go out first so the children won't be afraid. Well, this is a very exciting day. So they called, and Pedro went first and took Nunez by the hand to lead him to the houses. Nunez pulled his hand away. I can see, he said. See, said Korea. Yes, see, said Nunez, and he turned toward Korea and stumbled against Pedro. His senses are still imperfect, said the third blind man. He stumbles and his words have no meaning. Lead him by the hand. All right, said Nunez, and he was led along laughing. It seems they knew nothing about sight. Well, he would teach them, he thought. He heard shouts and saw a number of people gathering together in the middle street of the village. He and the three blind men walked toward a group of people. Nunez noticed that some of the women and girls had rather pretty faces, though their eyes were shut and sunken. The crowd of people hurried forward and touched him with soft, sensitive hands. They smelled him and listened carefully to every word he spoke. Pedro and Korea stayed close to Nunez and said again and again, "A wild man out of the rocks." Thank you for listening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Popo. I can read Child Vocabulary Book 6, page 8. Over time 片语在什么什么期间 Ahead of time 片语表示提前 Religion 名词宗教 Guarantee 是保证的意思 Miracle 名词奇迹 Condition 名词状况 Prohibit 名词禁止 Collect 是动词收集 Tug 是动词用力拉 Sensitive 形容词敏感的需审慎处理的 Delicate 形容词要小心处理的 Clumsy 形容词笨手笨脚的 Sensible 形容词理智的 Sorry for the mix up 很抱歉造成这混乱 Mix up 是混乱失误的意思另外还有两个单字也是相同的意思分别是 error 跟 mistake What a relief 松了一口气 Relief 名词缓和 Thank you for listening
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anna. I can read Story 41, The Country of the Blind. So they called, and Pedro went first and took Nunez by the hand to lead him to the houses. Nunez pulled his hand away. I can see, he said. See, said Corey. Yes, see, said Nunez, and he turned towards Corey and stumbled against Pedro. His senses are still imperfect, said the third blind man. He stumbles and his words has no meaning. Lead him by the hand. All right, said Nunez, and he was led along, laughing. It seems they knew nothing about sight. Well, he could teach them. He thought. He heard shouts and saw a number of people gathering together in the middle streets of the village. He and the three blind men walked towards the group of people. Nunez noticed that some of the women and girls had rather pretty faces, though their eyes were shut and sunken. The crowd of people hurried forward and touched him with soft, sensitive hands. They smelled him and listened carefully to every word he spoke. Pedro and Correa stayed close to Nunez and said again and again, "A wild man out of the rock." Thank you for listening.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cindy. Today I'm going to read Story 41, The Country of the Blind. So they called, and Pedro went first and took Nunez by the hand to lead him to the houses. Nunez pulled his hand away. I can see, he said. See, said Correa. Yes, see, said Nunez. and he turned toward Korea and stumbled against Pedro. His senses are still imperfect, said the third blind man. His stumbles and his words have no meaning. Let him by the hand. All right, said Nunez, and he was led along, laughing. It seemed they knew nothing about sight. Well, he would teach him, he thought. He heard shots and saw a number of people gathering together in the middle street of the village. He and the third blind man walked toward the group of people. Nunez noticed that some of the women and girls had rather pretty faces, though their eyes were shut and sunken. The crowd of people hurried forward and touched him with soft, sensitive hands. They smelled him and listened carefully to every word he spoke. Pedro and Korea sat close to Nunez and said again and again, "A wild man out of the rocks. Thank you for listening." Good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy. Today I'm going to read a vocabulary book, Book 6, page 8. Over time, 在什么什么期间 ，ahead of time 表示提前 ，religion 名词宗教 ，guarantee 名词保证 ，miracle 名词奇迹 ，condition 名词状况 ，prohibit 动词禁止 ，collect 动词收集 ，tug 动词用力拉 ，sensitive 形容词敏感的。需要审慎处理的 delicate 是形容词，需小心处理的 clumsy 形容词笨手笨脚的 sensible 形容词理智的 sorry for the mix-up 抱歉造成这场混乱失误 mix-up 是混乱或失误，或是可以用 mistake 或 error What a relief 松了一口气 relief 名词缓和 Thank you for listening
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anna. I can read Story 41, The Country of the Blind. Carefully, Nunez cried. One man's finger was in his eyes. He thought his eyes floating with flirting lids, a queer thing in him. They touched it again. A strange creature, Korea, said the one called Pedro. Feel his hair. It's like a llama's hair. He as rough as the rocks he comes from, and Korea touching Nunez's beard. Perhaps he will change. Nunez tried to move, but they held him tightly. Carefully, he said again. He speaks, said the third man. Certainly he is a man. Ugh, said Pedro, touching Nunez's rough coat. And you have come into the world? He asked. One of the world, said Nunez, over mountains and snows. It is 12 days. Walk back to the sea. They didn't seem to listen to him. Our fathers have told us man may be made by the powers of nature, said Korea. It is the warmth of things, and the moistures and rottenness. Let's lead him to the elders, said Pedro. Called out first, so the children won't be afraid. Well, this is a very exciting day. Thank you for listening.